Hello again and welcome to another Fly the Wing 5-minute flight maneuver video. This time we're going to tackle the ground reference maneuvers at the private pilot level. Ground reference maneuvers are performed at a relatively low altitude while applying wind drift correction as needed to follow a track or path over the ground. They're designed to develop the ability to control the airplane, recognize and correct for the effective wind while dividing our attention among other matters. This requires planning ahead of the airplane, maintaining orientation in relation to ground objects, and flying appropriate headings to follow a desired ground track while being cognizant of other air traffic in the vicinity at all times. Now, when we fly at altitude, even performing maneuvers like steep turns or slow flight, we're flying within an air mass, and if we're not trying to navigate from point A to point B, we generally don't correct for the wind effects. However, when flying ground reference maneuvers close to the ground and attempting to fly around a fixed object, we have to correct for the drift effects of the wind. It's very similar to a boat crossing a river. As you can see in this drawing, with no current, the boat can simply point to its destination, and its course to the destination will be the same as its track across the river. But in the case of a strong current, the boat will drift downstream from its desired destination unless the captain corrects for that drift by changing his course and tacking into the wind to maintain the same track across the river. We do exactly the same thing in the airplane. With no wind, our course along a road needs no correction. But with any wind, other than a direct headwind or tailwind, the airplane is going to drift from our intended course. When we correct for that drift with a wind correction heading, we're able to maintain a ground track right over the road. Now, here's one of the secrets to fully understanding ground reference maneuvers. Remember, a tailwind pushes the airplane faster along the ground. It increases our ground speed. And a headwind slows the airplane over the ground, decreasing our ground speed. Now, if you remember what happens to the rate of turn related to the ground speed of the airplane, with the same bank angle, a faster ground speed is going to produce a greater rate of turn. So, to maintain the same proximity to a reference object on the ground at the same rate of turn, we're going to need to increase our bank angle when our ground speed increases. Throughout the turn, the wind will be acting on the airplane from constantly changing angles, so we need to adjust our bank angle and compensate for that changing wind through the turn. Let's go to the airplane now where this will all make more sense and practice ground reference maneuvers.
And we're out here in the Cub practicing our ground reference maneuvers. We're going to start with an S-turn over the 8 freeway. It's about the straightest line we have here in Southern California. We've got our clearing turns done at emergency landing area right below us. Done a sweep check. We've got plenty of fuel. And we just made a position report on the radio. We're going to begin like we do most ground reference maneuvers, if we can, downwind. So that's going to create our fastest ground speed, requiring our steepest bank angle to correct for that. Got a little bit of a west wind today, so we begin the maneuver at 75 miles per hour and 2,200 feet. As we come across the road wings level, this is our fastest ground speed. We can verify that by looking at the GPS and comparing it to our indicated airspeed. I'm picking a spot between the lanes of the highway down there and essentially just doing half of a turn around a point. I'm trying to keep equal radius. I'm staying coordinated the entire time, trying to stay at the same altitude plus or minus 100 feet and the same airspeed plus or minus 10 knots. As we come around, I'm now picking up a headwind, which is going to slow my ground speed and require less and less bank angle to maintain the same position from that object on the ground. As I come across the road wings level, I immediately go back to the left. It's easy to do these in high-wing airplanes. You just use the wing strut as your indicator when you get over the road to begin your turn in the opposite direction. I'll do one more here, pretty much same altitude, same airspeed. I've picked up my object between the roads and I'm constantly looking for traffic. It's a visual maneuver. Keep your eyes outside the airplane and just glance in. You only need a half a second to see what your altitude and airspeed are doing. As I come around, I got a tailwind now creating a higher ground speed, my steepest bank angle in the downwind position. I come across the road, roll wings level, and the maneuver's complete. 2,200 feet, and we're back to our starting position.
Here are some common errors when practicing ground reference maneuvers: failure to clear the area, poor coordination, slipping and skidding through the maneuver, gaining or losing altitude or airspeed, and faulty correction for drift, as well as inadequate visual lookout for other aircraft. Ground reference maneuvers are designed to get you used to flying at low altitudes while dividing your attention, all the while trying to maintain proximity or ground track to a reference object on the ground. Go out and practice with your instructor, have fun, be safe, and I'll see you next month for another Fly the Wing 5-minute flight maneuver video.